I want to use this very simple piece of paper to just say a few things about how I understand a movement that we go through in life that has to do with the relation of our outer lives to our inner lives, our on-stage lives on the front of this strip and our backstage lives. So on stage, I think we're worried about things like influence, image, impact. Am I making a difference in the world? And how do I look while I'm doing it? You know, do they like me? All of those kind of ego questions that come when we're engaged with the outside world. But backstage, I think the language or the concerns are very different. It has back here to do with intuition, with instinct, with value and belief, with faith, and ultimately, I think, with those deeper sources in us from which all of this comes, which finally I call soul, the being and human being, for which there are many names and no one knows the true name.
We are born into wholeness and integrity, with no separation between our inner and outer lives. But as time goes on and we become more concerned with surviving and succeeding in the external world, we slowly lose touch with our souls and disappear into our roles.
There's a stage 2, which happens for some kids at home, happens for most of us at school, where we start realizing that it's not safe to be our backstage truth in the on-stage world. That if we were to reveal too much of who we really are and how we're really feeling, the world would become a dangerous place for us. And so we start building this wall of separation. But I think what happens is that life becomes painful. This disconnect between the inner and the outer becomes very painful. And so at some point, for many of us, there's a desire to bring our lives into this classic shape of the circle, which means that I want what's important to me inwardly to become the principles around which my external life revolves. So that there's something like unity in my life. And in a lot of spiritual writing, we find the word that describes this shape, which is the word centering. I want to become centered, so that my values, my beliefs, my convictions become the sort of plumb line around which my external life revolves. That's a great step forward. And yet when you turn the image this way, you realize that what you're looking at, it looks kind of like getting the wagons in a circle or a gated community, a walled garden, where the tendency is to say, the only people who can come in here are the people who agree with me. I will exclude everybody who doesn't share my core beliefs and principles. And I don't think it's unfair to say that we see a lot in the world where people's spirituality is used in exactly this way. So that this becomes, despite its elegance and grace as a shape, just another kind of wall. It's a prettier wall, but it's still a wall in many cases.
And yet, that's not our only alternative.
We can separate the ends of that circle, flip them this way, reconnect them, and create this very interesting shape called the Mobius Strip, which has the feature of being continuous and unbroken, so that you can put your finger on the outside surface, or what appears to be the outside surface, keep tracing it around, and pretty soon seamlessly find yourself on what appears to be the inside surface, keep tracing that around, and pretty soon come out on what appears to be the outside surface again. And you have to keep saying what appears to be, because the message of the Mobius strip is there is no inner and outer. The two co-create each other. And when I saw that, I thought, yeah, that's exactly what happens in life. Whatever is inside of me and of you emerges into the world, interacts with what's outside of us, which we take in and internalize, and in that interaction, in that exchange, we co-create what we call reality. It seems to me that ultimately there's just one question, for me at least, that one has to ask about this model of adult wholeness. And that is, as I travel this Mobius strip between my backstage life and my onstage life, constantly co-creating, how can I become so aware of that exchange, that co-creative transaction, moment by moment, that I can increasingly make choices about it that are life-giving rather than death-dealing? To me, that's a very important question that links the inner life with the outer life. And I think the Mobius strip is the adult form of the wholeness into which we were born.